everyone. I think we're back. We're back on stream. You guys can hear me. Tomorrow I'll probably get a mic, like a portable mic, so that the sorry, the video quality won't be better, but sound quality might be. And I think we'll take it step by step. I actually received my new mic and setup in Dubai, but I'm not gonna be there at least for let's say the next few days. Yeah, a couple of things. So if we go on my X and we look at Proper, we did communicate about OG NFT yesterday. So you have to understand, like, content of this stream is really how do I scale Proper to 10 million of revenues, and do it in a time that's fairly short. And I'm doing it more so for myself because I know I'll get there, and it's just to reflect. And I think for people that want to build something, they understand, okay, how we've built that from ground zero. And when I think about a prop firm, so we will have the edge technically, and with transparency. So, like, you have to understand that the composite of a prop firm and how you get better is a good product. I think fundamentally the products that you see in Web3 specifically around prop firms are bad. I think we'll bring superiority in the product both in terms of UX, but also the underlying, which is the perp. I think perp is the best way to express delta on the market, and much simpler way to express delta. Obviously you have liquidation risk, but it's I think pretty compelling package. So that's that. Then transparency. Transparency is I would say is probably our killer feature, is having the ability to just say, we'll share anything you guys want on transparency. And I've actually drafted an article, so I can probably mention to you guys the what's gonna come. I think next week, likely. But the few points that we think transparency is going to win, and how we enforce transparency at the company is, one is paper trading transparency. So the ability to, when you go on a prop firm, you think when you're on paper trading, you're not getting the field price that you deserve, and that the counterparty, so the prop firm, is abusing the system and making sure you get the worst execution possible. And for that, we and I did highlight this on my X profile, but we have today it's not there. There's actually in all transparency we have like a pull request on this, where it's order book snapshot transparency. It ran through the CI/CD pipeline, but it's gonna go live, very soon. And the way this is gonna work is whenever you go on trade history, you'll see the OB snapshot, and you'll be able to validate that the field price was correct based on the order book snapshot. Obviously, you still have slippage. The way our system works is we use hyperliquid books like fully, and we only, like, for example, if you have a limit order, it will only get filled if you have trades that go through. So you can argue that the books are different because market makers won't see your limit orders. But realistically, it's as close as possible to real liquidity conditions. So that's the first thing where, like, most firms don't do. The other point is AB booking transparency. So we have repo, so GitHub repo that is discussing about just this. So wait, sorry. A/B booking. This one is open source, so anyone can go through it. So you won't go into the details just here, but we discuss about time decay and pretty advanced. At the end of the day, it just corresponds to user profiling, well, trader profiling, and trying to understand what's the likelihood that a given trader is going to be profitable. So that very few firms do, and will do it day one. And A/B booking is open source. I think very few do it. Execution transparency. Obviously, when you A/book a trader, it's going to be on Hyperliquid, and so you'll see what's happening in the books, and that you indeed get fields. I mean, your fields are on Hyperliquid. One is rule transparency. That's what we do that others don't necessarily, is enforcing a changelog that persists over time. So if I go to rules, if I go right below, if I go just at the very bottom, you see here there is a changelog. And today it's not persisting, as in it's just a database entry, but we will have this, I think, recorded in like Arweave or IPFS, just for the sake of it, because we think it matters to traders, and if it matters to traders, it matters to us. That's the fourth point. Evaluation transparency is another one, is the ability to publish the full trader funnel. When you land on a prop firm, you don't know whether what's the odds, basically. And the odds from industry standards is 20%, give or take, 15% to pass an evaluation. Obviously, it's not good marketing, but I think people would rather know the truth. I mean, the reality of the business is most people shouldn't be traders. I still think this business is worth going after, because even though I know most traders are not going to succeed, I think it's much better that they understand this through not blowing up their own accounts, because what prop firms allow is very strict management for the end user, because there is none of their capital at risks. In that sense, you can think of prop firms as sort of an option trade where you risk the premium, but your risk management is contained to just that part. Business transparency is another one where I think it's going to make a lot of noise, is the ability to see revenues, profit margins. We'll share as much as possible so that it does not impact the business. You always have people that will go against you, and we'll try to take your business down, so we'll share as much as possible in that regard. But things like revenue, operating margins, payouts. Other aspect is trading data transparency. So the ability to know what our traders are doing in the platform in a way that's anonymized. What's the average risk per trade per trader on the platform? What's the average win rate? And that's it. The goal is to basically be one of the first, or if not the first, verifiable prop trading firm. And as I've stated from the get-go, we will be. That's why I like to say it will be a fair prop firm. Being transparent does not mean we'll be the best prop firms in terms of rules. We will. The challenge of a prop firm, if you're interested, is one is capital efficiency, and the other is liquidity, and that is wrapped within risk management. Is you have to get this right, and for example, if you welcome too many traders at the same time, and if you happen to have rules that are too easy for traders, then you'll blow up through your margin. And capital efficiency is another topic where For example, if we were to A-book traders only, so let's say they all go on Hyperliquid, then you're facing capital efficiency risks and liquidity constraints. So it's all like a blend of risk management things, which take most of my time at the moment on just making sure that this is right. And that's why in the roadmap we'll have a phased approach. So the ability to have just a few people come in, so we adjust things. We will adjust the rules. That's for sure. It's gonna piss people off. That's for sure. But we will. Sorry, I was laughing here because for sure is what the French president was saying. And I just thought of this, but we will be a fair prop firm, and we won't be the best prop firm in terms of flexibility or anything, but we will at least show you why we take a decision, and we want our business to be sound. If it's not sound, it's not good for traders, because like if we blow up the firm because we don't have the correct risk rules, then traders will be left behind, and that's not what we want. The goal is to operate transparency, so traders have some kind of insurance that our business model is sound and valuable. I wanted to discuss about the OG NFT. We did communicate about this yesterday, and made a lot of noise. I think, we, as I said and I think I got sidelined here, but at the core, the prop firm business is not so much of a tech business, more of a distribution and growth business. And that's why we're playing this game. Is we understand distribution is the key to any prop firm, and that's why we're trying to do growth events. So some said an NFT is not the right way to create trust for a prop firm, and that I agree. I think it's not necessarily the best to over speculate on things, but we're trying things in terms of growth, and I think some of these aspects are working. And some folks were like, Proper is the next Trove. Trove is not right scam. I think there are very clear differences between how we operate. I think if you care enough about what we do, you'll probably understand fully that we're super transparent and operate very differently. But one thing I take away from this is that, to me, it's good that you compare ourselves to Trove, because that means at least you've heard about us, and hearing about us is what I care about. I'm very confident in the way that we will win people over the product. I'm very confident in how the product is going to turn out. We'll go through the product just after. And that we will win with transparency. People will see how we operate, and that we've got basically only good intentions, whether that's from the product, transparency, or even just the team incentives. If you look at the tokenomics, the team doesn't get anything if there is no attraction on the product. I want to say on the OG NFT, I think the execution was not good. We basically got butted so much, and we did not have the right safeguard for it. So we did implement the safeguards really last minute, and plus I was actually on a plane by the time we released that, so it was impossible for me. I had no Wi-Fi, so it was impossible for me to react. So we had to change and revert, and that's what we see here. We had to revert some of the requirements because we were caught off guard. I honestly did not think this would get a lot of attention. But we reacted well, but I think the end outcome of that was we got farmers and the system got butted, which really takes away the goal of that NFT. So haven't taken the time just yet, but we will go through each event and each wallet that minted the NFT, and we will do a thorough analysis. I'm going to publish the analysis on my X, and we will take actions against people that farm this. It's a soul-bound NFT, and inherently, people that mint this should really have a view that this will have no value. And I've been very direct on the fact that if you bring no value to us, you'll get no value back. I think the model of people outright farming a product is not going to that is not working, and that's just value extraction. We're here to create the sound business, to bring crypto to prop firm in a way that makes the business better. And if you don't add value to us, and I think butting an NFT is not adding value at all, then I think you shouldn't be part of the adventure. And so what's likely to happen is if we see too much butting, we will take down this NFT. So that means we will render this NFT void, airdrop an NFT, like a new NFT to the wallets that we believe are compliant or legit, and then we'll run a different way of distributing this OG NFT. That's likely going to be next week or potentially the week after. To be honest, it's not my priority. I've got a lot of things to do otherwise. So just want to clear this. We added something that's pretty cool to well, first, if you're really interested about the product, you should check this out. You should check out the alpha testers. Alpha testers is where you need to get the role. To get the role, you can actually head over to product/QA, and if you fill up the questionnaire and quiz successfully, it's about perps trading, then you'll get the role. Once you get the role, you get access to this page, which is a Kanban board where you can submit a report based on the trading terminal here. And we've improved this quite a bit, and we had our first round of community QA on the terminal. But the way it works is if you want to, let's say you find a bug here, and you want to report that bug, then you can go ahead and test this. And report this, and that's going to go in our backend. And right after that's going to be reported, you'll have your Discord tag attached to it. So here, Luexborg is mine. We have Crypto Houdini that did a tremendous job with the QA. And we had the question of how do we avoid duplicates? Well, we've added a small functionality, which is, let's say I'm just copy pasting everything, but it identifies properly if there is a duplicate. So whenever you post something, please be aware that you should press the AI button. Otherwise, it's not helping at all. And when we mean, what I mean by we're not going to give value to those that don't add value, it also means that we'll provide value to those that add value. I think generally, like QAing the helping us test the platform early is a way in which you add value. And directly, I want to help. I want to provide value back. So what's likely going to happen is you'll have a community portal where you'll see the actions that you've taken, and at some point we'll have some gift or things given to you. That I want to make sure that we do it, and that's why we centralize everything on our website. So we track, we're able to track, who minted the NFT, who QA'd, and so everything that's community related will go on this. In terms of what we shipped today, so the way it works is on this alpha board. So me as an admin, when I take something that's reported to ready for QA, that gets triggered. That triggers a webhook on Discord. So you can, I think we'll basically be able to review everything that is in review or that went live in in the beta environment. But for example, we had the functionality, like someone asked, cancel order confirmation toggle, stop asking every time. So what we've added is the ability to, in the settings, to toggle a few things. So place found on order field, show buy sell markers on chart. Well, I haven't filled anything recently, but hide the P&L value and just a couple of things that apps like Hyperliquid have, and which are very little lift. Realistically, was a 5-minute job, but stuff like skip order confirmation. So today, if I have an order, I can just cancel that without having to confirm that I wanna do this action. So we've implemented this. We've implemented the add mid price. So again, these are small things, but there's the ability to add the mid price here directly from for limit. Some very small items. We've added a P&L card. So when you go here now, you can have your P&L card and then go ahead and save it and share it online. It's not the most beautiful one, but just, that just works. Other items like option to disable order history, ability to click on a notebook and have this impact the limit price. And ability to, some QA items, things that just did not work. Really just minor things, but we're taking all of the items that were reported and knocking them one by one. And what we will ship tomorrow is these items. So what's on acknowledged are things that either are on our GitHub and we're basically waiting for some team members to review. Or these are things that we haven't tackled yet, but will tackle shortly. So we're doing our best to ship as fast as possible. Reality is we're not vibe coding this product so much, as in there are only certain aspects that are using AI, mostly to just speed up development, but realistically everything goes through PRs and then peer reviews with our engineers. We basically got like James, that's both on the back end, front end, myself, that's a bit of both, and then Vladi specifically on the front end. But we do have, and we do enforce, PR reviews, and otherwise, the code base is going to scale and then just not be maintainable. And things like Hyperliquid execution are not things that we can realistically vibe code. What I did add a few hours ago was the ability to use playwright for each item that's QA'd. So not sure I will be able to show this, but we have Playwright is a testing framework that's used particularly on the front end, and that is able to replay, basically using Chromium in order to spin up a Chrome instance that's virtual and is able to manipulate the DOM, so manipulate the front end to act like a real user. So that tool can authenticate and then go through the user journey. So whenever we have an item that's, for example, cancel order confirmation toggle, stop. Okay, no, that's, even that one, like we've got a playwright test so that we basically have you can think of it like a bot that would go on settings, toggle and untoggle this, and make sure that when I click on cancel, it cancels, and vice versa. So that's a pretty cool thing that we've added. I wanted to add this pretty early on because that would make QA much easier, especially when it comes to regression. Regression is the ability to, when you add a new functionality, it breaks another one. And you want to make sure that the trading terminal is as smooth as possible, and that whenever we add something else, let's say, concrete example of that would be, let's say we add isolated, and isolated could break the cross orders, and you want to make sure it's not the case. And so, if you have a whole test suite that would test every order type with cross, every interaction on the front end, then it's going to make things much easier and much more reliable. So that's one of the cool things that we've added. And so that's basically what we've done today. I don't think we've done much else, and that was already quite an intense day. But again, invitation, if you're interested about some of the stuff that we build, go ahead and check the alpha testers. It's still quite early. I'm confident we'll get to ship this stuff to the public with the trading competition end of next week. That's our target, and you'll see the pace. I think the community saw the pace at which we've moved stuff around, or like ship the QA board or whatever, and they'll understand. I mean, you guys will understand that we go really fast, and to be honest, the backend works for the paper trading engine the way it's meant to. Now it's mainly just cosmetic, like things like the dashboard today doesn't look so good, but we will make sure it's one-to-one with our design, and that's a matter of minutes, not minutes or like single-digit hours. Anyway, that's for today on the tech. Wait, sorry. Wanted to discuss about market now. Where we stand on the 100K to million challenge. As I don't recall the numbers of yesterday, but I think we're close to an all-time high. Yeah. Equity curve actually needs to be fixed because we had I'm not sure, I have to troubleshoot this. I haven't taken the time, but it's it does not reflect the drawdown that we took like back when BTC was at 74. So that I need to fix because it's honestly looking a bit up only, and that's not really that's definitely not what happens. But and you see here the sound as we got filled, I think, on an order. We've added this anyway, so it's a very small thing. So we did pretty well on the challenge. Basically, we've been flat on flat-ish on the week. On the stream yesterday, I did highlight that we had no incentive to cover shorts, and yeah, but our positioning, by the way, is short AVE, short BTC. So we're naked short, no hedge, and we've been naked short since like this time. So when was this? We've been naked short since, for the whole week essentially. We haven't taken any trades. If I take the trading view is, I don't like TA so much. I think people that trade only on TA are not. We all have our style. I think TA should be used for risk management, less so for positioning. So I'm not going to repeat myself, but the context is going into this weekend, and why we were confident holding shorts on from Friday to now is because on the weekend you had well, we basically closed, just for context. The Nasdaq closed like a percent down. VIX is at the highs, and never like there's not never something good that happens when you have indicators at the real high. Um, and I think the risks of a taco, so taco being Trump, always chickens out, were close to null over the weekend. And I think we only have a mean reversion if Trump would sort of pull out from this. Obviously I'm not expert here, but and you should never take my comments too much for granted on macro. I'm only good at reading crypto positioning. But I do think that with the midterms, Trump doesn't have much incentives to keep going for a long time. But at the same time, Iran has all the incentives in the world to make sure it affects the macro conditions as much as possible. And so typically for Iran, oil prices being high are good because it knows that this is going to disrupt the macro conditions, impacting inflation, etc. So Iran has all the incentives to keep going, and Trump doesn't. So I think, plus like the US doesn't have. I shared on my Telegram, on the Telegram group, but I shared this video here. You should go to this one if you're interested. You can just type in Blue Circle. That's where I shared every trade here. You see when I open and when I close. But this guy brings a good comments to the table. I'm not gonna go through the video now, but on the fact that the US doesn't have so much oil reserve after the Biden administration, they haven't refilled their oil reserve, and it's at half of the volume that they had in the Biden terms. And it's not like the US have so much superiority. I mean, obviously, like military-wise, they are, but the US has, to me, much more to lose than Iran here. And my view is that this is not, like, the US doesn't have the incentive to keep going. And just for that to say that the likelihood of a taco over the weekend, I think was pretty low, but I remain confident in the next few days or weeks. There is a mean reversion trade, because you have a lot of hedges on the market. VIX is super high. People obviously hedged against that conflict, and if you see things go better, then those hedges will be taken off, and then you'll likely see a big rebound on the equity market. So my plan concretely is wait till the New York Open. I never hold any longs on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, mostly because it's where it's most volatile, and especially when we're in a bear market, so high time frame, things are broken. The likelihood of having a long likelihood is higher than a short squeeze, especially because with the headline risks. So I just think the EV of being long on a Monday, let's say today I could cover shorts because we're at all-time high on the challenge, and just say, okay, maybe I just flip long, but basically you want to wait for New York Open. And I haven't looked at what the positioning is telling us, but what you saw from the range highs is basically no spot support. So people started to sell, like whoever led this short squeeze, and that was a lot of that was ETF driven, haven't followed through, and I think also technically things don't look good. Like you can just look at BTC now, but realistically you had a range breakout, and then that just that just got reversed, and you have this big what we call SFP, so swing failure pattern. So inability to turn a resistance into support in our case. So I use TA as a way to help me take entry levels, but basically if you have a deviation up, you can expect a deviation down. And in terms of timing, I think looking at the New York Open is going to be key. I have to say that this market is very headline driven. So you can have like a taco on Monday, just say, okay, Trump just would pull out. Or on the flip side, we saw, for example, I think that was a fake news, but that was definitely a fake news. But if the UAE gets involved and retaliates against Iran, that would be further risk in the market. And I think a lot of people are underpricing the fact that the Strait of Hormuz could stay not stuck, but insurance policies against the vessels that go through the Strait of Hormuz would stay elevated, which renders oil productivity to go down and skyrocket the price of oil. So I think if you want to be long, there's a tool actually we've built internally. Is this tool, and this tool is helping you in identifying whether you're on a downtrend or whether you're just trying to catch a falling knife. And you want to wait as much as possible for things to turn green. And usually it gives you an invalidation. So invalidation being a high or low. I think you want to be surgical on your risk management, especially if you're playing the long side, because things can, for example, if we take the view that, okay, we take that trade here, things approach like 60K and you want to enter, then I'm pretty sure that there's a ton of liquidity that's resting on 58, 57. I think there's a cool tool that you can go check out. It's called Hyperdash, to tell you about the liquidation clusters on BTC. But there's a basically guarantee. You see the liquidity that's on 60K. There's also decent at 65, but realistically things can escalate really quickly between 60 and 50 in a movement of panic. Let's say US brings boots on the ground, then you would, my point is you want to be very tight on your risk management. And I do think medium time frame, there's a good likelihood once the conflict resolves that we go chase higher. I did share on my Telegram that my expectation would be a big range between now and the summer of 80K to 50K. Reason for the price to be pins in a big range is there is little catalyst on the horizon. Plus you've got basically the S&P at all-time high. So it's not like, things can just go complete bonkers. And I think the next catalyst is the midterms. That will help fuel the prices on the upside. But midterms is only in Q4. And until then, price is going to be pins. And you also have a lot of people that are saying October is the bottom. you'd likely front run these guys. And I think August, September is likely going to be a good time, and I think optimism is going to come back, which is what you want for crypto markets at this stage. So you want to be very agile between 50 and 80. Obviously, we could go like 47 to like 84, but you want to play the extremes. And you need to have, I think it's much more important to have risk management on the long side versus the short side. We had very loose risk management because we basically took what, a 10% BTC move on the other side, but we've held through that position, and now we're back at basically break even. That was definitely wrong execution on my end, but yeah, I'd probably comment on Telegram on what are the things that we could have done better. Anyway, I think that's it for today. I want to finish a few things before I wrap it up for the week. I don't see the comments because I just have this screen. But if you've been here, thanks a lot for interacting. And yeah, I see you tomorrow.